I am doing great. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing just well, thank you. I'm so excited we finally got a time for us to chat.
Me too. I've been really looking forward to this.
Oh my gosh, me too. Thank you for wanting to come on an episode. I'm so thrilled to have you.
Yeah, it was so fun just to it's amazing just being on threads and just putting yourself out there, the connections that you can make through that. So this is one of those really cool times where we were just like, oh, hey, we like the same things. Let's talk.
Exactly. That was just like kismet in a way because for our listeners out there, today we have the amazing M.B. Thurman in the house with us, and she is a romantasy author as well as an owner of the Miller Tree Inn in Forks, Washington, which brings me to how we met on Threads, and it was so funny because I literally had just seen, I think like the week before, maybe, or
Mhm.
something like you introducing yourself as the as y'all being the owners of the inn, the new owners in the Twilight group on Facebook, and I was like, wait a minute, I recognize that name, and I'm like, no way.
Yep, the internet brought us together.
It did, and I'm wearing my fork shirt as you can see.
I see that. You came like in the spirit of this episode. I'm like the commitment. I'm obsessed.
Literally, thank you for appreciating that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I have a ton of Twilight merch, and so I'm like, you know what? This is a Forks, Washington episode, so that's what I went with.
It is, and it is a classic Forks day. We've actually had some pretty warm weather recently, but today it is overcast. The highs are like mid 60s. It is just perfect Forks weather.
Wow, it sounds like I need to transport there ASAP.
Yeah, it's easy to get spoiled here by the weather, especially if you do like the rainy season. It's so nice.
I know I can only imagine curling up with a good book and just letting it roll, the thunder roll and everything. So
That's it.
So you are a romantasy author as well as inn owner, which is truly the best of both worlds, let alone owning such a special inn. Do you want to explain a little bit about what our listeners could expect from your series Summoned?
Yeah, so I started Summoned quite a long time ago. This scene was just playing out in my head, and so I knew I had to write it down. And it's led me on quite the journey. Summoned is, I feel, a little bit different because it's a true reflection of what I wanted to see in the romantasy space.
Mhm.
Because I often didn't feel well represented by a lot of like female protagonists, like our main heroine. I was like, oh, I'm a little bit different. I'm someone that has, anxiety, or I would make different choices. And that led me to write this series that turned out to be just like such a love story to so many things that I love. Like it's really a tribute to so many things that I love. So if you like witches, if you like romance, if you like magical adventures, if you like settings like the Pacific Northwest, Edinburgh, Scotland, this is the series for you.
That sounds absolutely perfect, and it's like right at great timing that we're doing this episode because we're about to enter fall. So
Yes.
it's like bring on all the spooky, all the fantasy, like all the feel good reads. And I just feel like that's like, maybe during summer you're more like just summer romances, like whether it be rom-coms or contemporary. And then I think once you get like into the fall, winter, it's more like, okay, I need some magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've always said, I was talking with my publisher the other day, and I said, this entire series is such like either fall or winter vibes. And so the first book, Summoned, it's set during the fall. It feels very fall. It has the dark academia feel to it. And then as we go through the series, we really maintain that. And then coming into the third book that will be releasing soon, which I know we'll talk more about later. But going into that, it feels very like late fall, early winter, like November vibes. So it's truly a fall series.
I love that. It sounds like the perfect way to get like everybody in the mood and get everybody festive and be like, okay, now it's time to let my little imagination flow.
Yeah, and I love fall. It's my favorite season. I love fall, I love winter, and so I guess no wonder. I mean, again, it's things that I love and I love fall and winter, so no surprise that's how most of the book kind of falls and feels.
Yeah, exactly. They say write what you know, so write what you love, you know?
Mhm.
So speaking of your books, like what made you decide that you wanted to be like a romantasy author? Like what made you decide on that genre?
I think the romantasy chose me and not the other way around. I truly do because, growing up, I would say really through my teenage years, that's when I fell in love with two things. I fell in love with the works of Jane Austen and I fell in love with the works of Tolkien. And so I read The Hobbit for the first time and fell in love with the fantasy genre. I found, of course, my access point into Austen was Pride and Prejudice, which is
First.
pretty typical. But just gobbled up her works. And so I feel like the themes of Jane Austen's work that I really loved. I mean, of course, there's a love story, there's a romance element to her books, but I also loved her character development and I love the journeys of these, female protagonists and
Mhm.
how she didn't shy away from what some of the challenges were of being a female at that time. And so I really loved that style of romance where there's a love story, but we also see these other aspects of her life. And that's when I realized, oh, I do like romance because that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the actual love story component, but it's the journey that you go through finding love. And so I fell in love with that. And then I fell in love with fantasy. I was like, oh my gosh, this whole Middle Earth like world, I'm just obsessed with the world building. And because of that, I really latched onto those two genres and consumed so much of it that I think it's only natural that's what started to pour out of me as a writer.
Well, you can tell that you really do feel a connection with the genre. Like you didn't just like pick what sounded good. Like you can feel and you can tell like just from hearing you describe your experience and like how you feel when you write that it really is like what's inside of your heart.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think that stories are just so wonderful. They're such a point of connection for people. And, you find other people that love the same things that you do. And it runs so deep in that human connection. And I just think telling stories are so important.
It is.
Romance has, I know it's trite to say, but romance has so much heart. And fantasy, I think so many of us connect with this side of the genre because it reminds you that, even though there is evil, there's also good and there's epic journeys to be had and there's worlds to be lost in. And I think that's really important. I mean, probably now more than ever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I think it's just really amazing because like people can find connection so much through, the literary world and like, the whole reason I even started a Bookstagram, which has now led to me talking to you here today on a podcast, was because I just wanted a place where I could talk about all of my favorite books with people who understood and who connected with them like I did and who understood like what made reading so special. And so
Yeah.
it's just a really magical thing.
Yeah, and it's nice how it can connect you to people all over the world and
Mhm.
not just in your own backyard, because though that's a wonderful thing, I think especially like I grew up in a small town in the South, and there weren't a lot of people that I was connecting with that liked the same things that I did. And
Yeah.
so as the internet grew and social media grew, I started to find a whole new community, and I'm like, this is incredible to have that connection with other people that, and are enjoying the same things that I am, and then we could connect over that.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I totally can relate because I live in a small town myself in Kentucky, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, I'm a little bit away from you. There's some distance.
Yeah. So I grew up in Mississippi.
Mississippi.
So yeah, deep South Mississippi and Texas. I claim both kind of as home in the formative years. But yeah, I grew up in Mississippi, and I had a wonderful childhood, and I had parents that were very supportive. But yeah, I didn't. I didn't, in my small town, I just didn't find that many people that were into the same things that I was into.
Right. And that's another thing that makes it so great that there is a place where you can connect with people virtually, if not in person, like you can at least connect, like you said, with people all around the world in different countries and different, place states, like all the way on the other side of the world, and it's still just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So have you always wanted to write, or was that something that just sort of happened when you moved to the magical town of Forks?
It's something that surprised me because, I've always been a literature person. I've always
Mhm.
loved reading. And of course, as we discussed, it really ignited my love, for fantasy and romance when I found those works.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, and then I knew I wanted to study literature, so I went on to college and studied literature. So I always had this profound love for stories and for books specifically, but it never really occurred to me that I could write my own story. I don't know why. I never thought like, oh, I love stories, I should be a writer. I think it felt like something that was too prestigious
Hmm.
me to achieve when I was younger. Like I really put authors on a pedestal, and so I just assumed that, I would never have great stories like that. So I went through all of college, and then when I had that scene that was just like stuck in my head, it finally occurred to me maybe I should write it down and get it out of my head. And the moment I did that, it just kept coming out. And it was like this was never something that I saw myself doing or
Right.
cultivated growing up, but once I started, it just didn't stop. And that was so it was right after college. And that would have been like the beginning of 2009, I think. End of '08, beginning of '09 is
Hmm.
when I first started writing anything.
Oh wow. Okay, so like you didn't see yourself as a writer like when you was in high school or like growing up, it just sort of happened, but you've always had a love of literature then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's actually really, really cool though.
Yeah, it totally took me by surprise. And then I picked it up and put it down, the story over the years. And then it was like probably 2016, very early 2016-ish, that I pulled out an old jump drive and plugged it into my computer and said, I miss when I was tinkering with these stories. Maybe I should see if I actually have something of substance. So I pulled out what originally started as Summoned, the first book in the series,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, this is garbage. It's really bad. But you know what? Like I had the spirit. I think I've got something there. And so that's when I started to really take it seriously and see myself as potentially publishing something, potentially being a writer professionally. So it was quite the journey
Yeah,
before I actually even took it seriously.
it sounds like it, and I think it just sort of goes to show that like your path sort of will find you eventually, like what you were meant to do.
Yeah. And I think it surfaced at the time that it should have, and I
Hmm.
was able to spend time writing, and then I paused for a couple of years and took some writing courses and read a lot more and, really studied story structure and things like that. And so then when I revisited it, like 2019, I was like, okay, I've done my research. I know what I want. I'm going to go for publishing this thing. So I really started polishing the novel. And then 2020 happened,
Of course.
and, everything was different.
Yeah.
And I decided to self-publish my first book because the publishing industry, I mean, just like everything, was very uncertain. They weren't taking on a lot of new writers, things like that. And so I said, well, I'm just gonna put it out, which led to me finding my current publisher. So it was an up and down, all the way around the world journey to get to where I am now as a writer.
Yeah, it sounds like it was quite the roller coaster, just like getting it set in motion. Because, like you said, everything was different when all that happened in 2020. So it sort of changed the way the world worked and the publishing world worked.
Yes, I mean, everything in the world was different. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to, research as much as possible on how this whole thing, this whole industry worked. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I had a story to tell. And so that really propelled me through all of the ups and downs.
Yes, and I'm so happy that you eventually was able to get it out there into the world and realize that, hey, this is what you wanted to do. And now, like you said, you're with your publisher and it all just seemed to work out for you.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to jump, even if you don't know where you're going to land. You just have to bet on yourself.
Exactly. You have to just like, if you want it, you have to try to achieve it. Like you have to put yourself out there and take that first step. And then you don't know what's gonna happen, you know?
Right. Yeah. And there was a number of times I thought about quitting. I mean, I remember right before I published the first book, I remember talking to my husband and I was like, I don't think I can keep going. Like, this has been so long and so tough, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm tired. I'm scared. What if people hate it? And so I really had a moment, and I will never forget, he looked at me and he said, "You have come so far, and there's no way I am letting you give up on yourself now. You're gonna finish this." And so he really like helped me push through. And I think about it now, and I'm like, if I had given up, my life would be so different than it is now. And, some of my very best friends that I consider family, I don't think I would have found them otherwise. I mean, this just opened a door in so many ways
Yeah.
for the life that I have now. And I'm so glad that I didn't give up. And I'm so glad that he didn't let me give up.
That is honestly so sweet, and I'm so happy that you had that number one support there with you, and it has rallied you on, and look at you now.
I made
You made
it.
it. Speaking of your books, so the third one comes out in just
It comes out September 9th. So we are less than a month away, which is when I always get super excited and a little panicked because you're like, oh my gosh, this book especially has been a labor of love. It's been really tough. It was really, really tough to write. The material was tough. I had to ask my publisher for breaks, one pretty big break because my mental health was kind of suffering during this process. And there was a point where I thought, oh my gosh, is this book ever going to come out? And so now that we're less than a month away, I'm so excited. But as always, I'm also a little nervous because I'm like, oh gosh, it's about to really be out there. People are going to pick it up and read it. I hope they love it.
I think that's always just like the norm. Like I work as an author PA and work with authors, and I think always when the a release rolls around, there's always that extreme excitement with a little bit of, I don't know, like release anxiety,
Yes.
and you just get a little in your head about it. So I totally can get what you're saying because it is kind of like a whole process.
Yeah, and once you get to this point and, ARC readers have it in hand
Mm.
and books have been ordered for sales, pre-orders we've ordered for pre-orders, we've ordered for the book launch event, and so it's set in stone now. This is it. Any last changes are done. And so I think there's always that moment too where you realize, oh, it's in its final form. It's done. And that's always a little like, whoa. My gut is like, whoa.
Exactly.
But it also feels really good because there's that sense of accomplishment that comes with it too.
Yeah, yeah. And so what all do you have planned for this release?
Oh my goodness. Well, we have been working on, of course, I mean, this podcast is one of them, starting to do some press. We have the book launch event that's happening in Forks on September 10th, so one day past the release. That's going to be such a big event. So for anyone that wants to check out the social media for Summoned, we have a cast that brings some of the characters and the scenes to life. We do, book trailers, things like that. So we have a couple of the cast members that are going to be there in character. We're going to get to see some things that I'm not supposed to talk about yet, but they've got some surprises in store. We are transforming our inn, Miller Tree, into the 17th century. So we actually had people working on the set this past weekend, like building the stone and the brick flats and getting everything ready to set that up for the 17th century.
Oh
We
my gosh.
yeah, we have a music team that they just are about to release the EP for the previous book, Crossed. So they just wrapped on that. And so they're going to be doing a Q&A. We're going to be listening to some music before it releases. And I'm going to be doing a Q&A with my editor, Jamie Rue. So we have just a big night in store for the book launch, and I'm really excited for that.
That is absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, what I would give to be in Forks for that.
It's wild. We know nothing but all the way. It's like if
Yeah.
we're doing it, it's 0 to 60 so fast. We're like we're doing it all.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing that. I have a book signing at Barnes and Noble in North Seattle. So for anyone in the Seattle area, it's Northgate. And that is on the 16th, I think. So I'll have a conversation partner. I'll be signing books, so we're doing that as well, and a few other things that I think we'll be announcing before long.
That sounds like the most incredible release ride. Oh my gosh, I'm so honored to have been part of this press tour that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to partner with you on just being on this podcast episode and talking about everything. I mean, this is like the exclusive. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Barnes and Noble event like on socials or anything yet. So this is the exclusive.
Oh wow, why thank you. I am honored and my listeners will be very, very excited that they're getting like the first chance at this.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, well, I will also link all of your socials and everything in the description so people can easily keep up with what's to come and
perfect.
everything. Yeah, but that has to be so amazing to have all this like in the works and like you're really, I don't know, getting to just live this out in full speed ahead. And I love that for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never done a Barnes and Noble book signing, and that feels like one of those kind of rites of passage.
Yeah,
So I'm very excited. That's like a bucket list thing, doing a book signing like that. So I'm very excited for that. And I don't know, there's I think a part of me that still hasn't really grasped that this is all real. Um, the team, we've worked so hard over the past couple of years, and some things are coming to fruition that are really exciting, and it still doesn't quite feel real.
that is honestly so magical though. And I mean, you are based in a town that loves its romantasy and loves its fantasy, so I think you're in the perfect place for all this to take place too.
Yeah, Forks is magic.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm sure by all my socials and my whole aesthetic, I'm a huge Twilight fan. It's will forever and always be my favorites. I have to know, how did it come about for you to buy the inn?
Oh, it was a journey. So I first visited Forks in 2011 with my aunt for a girls' trip. We read Twilight, we read the series. I think I want to say maybe what the third film was out around that time or had just come out or something like that. And so that's where we were in the series. And we decided to take a girls' trip. So we came up, we stayed at the inn, and I loved it. So I went home and I told my husband, who was, we weren't married at the time, but we were dating, and I said, you are going to love the Pacific Northwest. I think you're going to really like Forks. Like, you just need to come up and see it. So we planned another trip. My husband came up, he loved it. So we decided to move to Seattle because that's where we could find jobs. And we didn't know anyone in Washington State. We didn't know anyone in Seattle,
Mhm.
but we were able to find jobs. We moved, but we just kept being pulled out to Forks. So on the weekends, we would go out, we'd stay at the inn, we'd do hiking trips, which turned into us becoming friends with the previous owners. And so in the off season, we started trading room and board on the weekends for helping them with projects around the inn. So we'd come out, we'd clean out the shed or we'd paint a room or whatever they had on the docket for us. So we'd come out and do that. And then the cottage that we live in now came available. So we started remodeling that. And at the inn, we have Carlisle's office. And so they put us up in Carlisle's office. We were sleeping on a futon in there while we were remodeling the cottage.
Oh my gosh.
See how it keeps building?
It
Uh,
does.
and I was writing Summoned at the time, and so I wrote a fair amount of it in Carlisle's office. I would just sit in there and I would write. And the previous owners, Susan, she would cook dinner. She would keep me fed, and so we would work on the cottage. I'd be writing Summoned. We'd be helping out around the inn. So flash forward to they decided to sell, and we weren't in a position to buy the inn. And so a prospective buyer came in and they were going to buy the inn, and we were feeling all blue and gloomy about it. And then COVID hit, and the prospective buyer's financing fell through because that's just what happened. A
Right.
lot of that happened. And so we didn't know it at the time. We knew that it was likely going to happen, but we didn't know that it actually fallen through. But there were some difficulties. And we were like, you know what? We're going to go out there this weekend and we're going to tell Bill and Susan if anything happens, we don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to find a way to buy the inn. And so we're like in the car, we're like talking about our plan and the pros that we're going to tell them and everything. We're like working ourselves up and we get there and, we're like, okay, guys, we want to talk to you about something. We really want to buy the inn, and I know that there's other prospective buyers, and they just look at each other and smile. And they said, no, keep going, but we got something to tell you in a minute. So we stayed our case, and then they said, last night the deal fell through. So it fell through, and the next morning we showed up on their doorstep saying we want to buy the inn. And so the rest was history. We that was August of 2020, and they said, you're not taking over until we get through the rest of this year. Let's wait for April. That's usually when things start to really pick up around here. So you'll go in being successful. So we started a transition period of transitioning out of our corporate jobs and getting ourselves like back to Forks because we had been going back and forth to Seattle quite a bit. So
Right.
anyway, everything started to fall into place. But that is the journey that got us to Forks and to Miller Tree.
That is absolutely magical. Oh my gosh. That just seemed like it was just waiting for you.
Yeah, everything kind of just fell into place. And the inn is part of a homestead. So the Peterson family homesteaded it. So the cottage that we live in is part of the original homestead. The inn is part of the original homestead. And the family that homesteaded it still has the land beside us with the barn and all that. And it was actually the family that told me and Trent, like, what are you doing? Why are you not fighting for this inn? You guys belong there. Like this, like we wouldn't want anybody else to have our family home. Like, what are you doing? And that was that little catalyst to us deciding we're going out there and we're gonna fight for it.
Yeah, and it all worked out in your favor. Like that is absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that you all ended up with the end after all. It was quite the journey to get there.
It was a 10-year journey.
Oh wow. It's gotta feel like so surreal owning such a huge piece of memorabilia, you might say, in the Twilight fandom. Like, what is that like, and how has it affected your personal life? Like, knowing that you have that connection with all of us fans.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I guess we knew a little bit about how it would be just being around the inn so much and watching Bill and Susan. Um, However, knowing what you're going into from an outside perspective and getting into it is two different things. So it's incredible, first of all. People are so excited to be here. Our Twilight guests are our happiest guests. They're thrilled to be here. Like they have made the pilgrimage. They're so excited. And that joy, I always say the joy is contagious because when people are so happy to be here and so happy to be in your home and so happy to be in Forks, it just feels good. So it's brought a lot of joy to our lives. It's also so interesting to have a home where people are literally every day driving to your house, driving through that we have a circle driveway. They drive through the driveway, cameras out the window. We've got people like in front of the house doing TikToks. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it's so funny to me, and I love it. I think it's great.
That's incredible. I can only imagine what it's like getting to experience that firsthand and like having like just the influx of people coming and going. And
Yeah.
because like you said, it's like a big thing. Like if someone's in Forks, they're gonna go by the inn. Like that's just gonna happen. And like if I
Yeah.
ever trek the 30-hour road trip or fly,
Yes.
I will be at your inn, okay? Like I need to
Perfect.
know. I need to know because I need to book. So,
Please do. No, it's so much fun. But I think also with that, there's also a responsibility that comes with it. And we entered into this knowing that and taking it seriously because this is not just our home. This is a space that is important to so many people that love this fandom. And we knew when we went into it that we had to find a way to be responsible. Like with every change, with any decision that we make, it's not just a decision about our home or our business, it's also a decision that affects a fandom. So there's also that level of responsibility that comes with owning one of these homes.
yeah, wow. Thank you for, having that sort of like ingrained because not a lot of people or not everybody feel that way. So
Yeah.
it's really great when someone takes that into consideration that it is such a thing for all of us. And like, we feel connected to it. Like whether you've actually got to go there in person or just knowing that it's there and it's being well taken care of and it's being, you know, in its full twilight glory, like y'all are keeping true to it. So thank you for that mindset.
Yeah, no, we do our best, and we've had people ask because we get guests that stay with us for the national parks or for
Hmm.
work, all kinds of things. And sometimes the ones that aren't Twilight fans, they're like, "Do you ever get tired of it?" And we're like, no, because first of all, we knew what we were walking into. We went into it eyes wide open. Like we knew that we were going to have lots of people coming to the property and taking the photos. I mean, we just joke like how many photos are we unintentionally in? People have probably have so many photos of me making like the wild, you know how you just make faces like you're not expecting the camera. I'm like, I am probably looking wild in so many people's footage, just like wandering through the inn in front of the window and stuff. So like, we just take it in stride. It's a
You
lot of
embrace it.
yeah, we embrace it. It's fun and that's what I want it to always be is I want it to be fun.
Well, you are clearly doing something right, and we all appreciate you for it. And so you also played a certain character in the Forever Twilight and Forks Festival, I hear.
Yes, one Miss Rosalie Hale.
Oh my gosh, that had to be so fun. What was that like?
Wild. It's one of those things too, I never saw myself doing. I wasn't someone that, grew up acting. I wasn't someone that saw myself being an actor in any form, being a performer like that. I mean, I write the stories, I don't perform them. So I wasn't expecting it, but a good friend of mine who plays Bella for the Olympic Coven, so that the Olympic Coven is the acting group that comes every year to the festival and performs. So a really good friend of mine, her name is Samantha Rose Baldwin. She's one of my producing partners. We've started a company together since, like she's my bestie. But she plays Bella, and she dragged me into all this when she did the big wedding recreation several years ago. I guess that was 2021. And she was like, "You would be an amazing Rosalie." And I was like, "I don't act. No one's going to want to see this. I'm going to be a terrible Rosalie. Nobody's going to care." And she said, "Respectfully, you're wrong. So let's give it a try." And I got into character and I did all the makeup and the contacts and the wig and everything. And something took over me. I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I am built for this because you get into all that and like you are the character. I mean, the way that I walk is different, the way I carry myself is different, the way I speak is different. It just like it's like a monster just took over my body.
I literally love that so much. I was in plays and growing up through high school, and I've always loved the theater, and I would love to like be in
Yeah.
like the plays and stuff like that. So I totally can relate. That had to be such a insane experience.
Yeah.
Like your first sort of like jump into theater stardom, and you're none other than Rosalie in one of the biggest festivals around for Twilight fans.
Yeah, it took me by surprise. And this style of performing is really fun because there are scripted bits, so there are performances,
Hmm.
but a lot of it is improv too. And
Yeah.
so just they're improving off of each other, improving with the Twilight fans. They're there for the festival. So it gives you such a space to play. And as someone who is a writer, and I do love stories so much. It's really fun to have that creative license.
That is actually so amazing, and I'm so happy that you've gotten to experience so much magic in so many different forms. And that's like not everybody gets to do that. So that's actually so, so cool.
Yeah, I know it's been a lot of fun and I'm incredibly lucky is all I know to say.
Well, we are so happy that you are doing all of this, and for the people that got to see you as Rosalie, for everyone that gets to go to the inn, hoping it will be me soon. Um,
Yes.
as someone who's never even been to Forks, and that's my favorite thing on the planet. So,
You have to come out. You have to find your way out here.
I know, I know. I'm like, it's time for a road trip.
I agree.
Yeah. So thank you for wanting to come on here today. I'm so happy I've had the chance to chat with you. Do you want to say what readers can expect? What three words to describe your next book in the Summon series coming out in a few weeks?
Oh my gosh, this is such a big book, which makes it so hard to summarize. Like, this is the biggest book I've ever written. The book is like 600 pages, first
Oh
of
my
all.
God.
Yeah, okay. So it's a big book. I'm gonna say emotional. It's a very emotional ride. I'm gonna say personal because so many people that have read it have found so many like they've really connected to the story, the themes. So I'm gonna say it is very personal for me. It's a very personal story for me.
Right.
And the last one I'm gonna say is feminine rage
Okay.
because yeah, we're in 17th century witch trials and of course that creates a certain amount of, fear and uncertainty, but there's a point and it's a different point for every character. There's a point where yes, they're still afraid, yes, there's a lot of uncertainty, but they're angry and there's a tonal shift and so feminine rage.
Okay, that is like the perfect summary, and I cannot wait for this book. I am so excited. Thank you so much for doing this episode with me. It was an absolute blast getting to chat with you. And for our listeners, I will link all of Emily's socials in the description where you can find her, keep up with what's not been announced yet, what has been announced, and be able to find her books with the click of a button.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you today, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited that you have been on an episode of Bookspace Chatter.